Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me directly. My email is in the description below. It is tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email question line, your online concierge for your pricing questions about this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing what might be the closest living descendant of the original 1939 IWC Portuguese reference 325. This model, made as you see it here from 2010 to 2014, is the IWC Portuguese Hand-Wound 5454-08. 44 millimeters in stainless steel. The watch is 10.2 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, 51.8 millimeters with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Throwing it on my wrist, you can see it wears large, but that's the idea with a Portuguese. The original Portugueser, so named because it was requested by the Portuguese importers of IWC watches, it was designed to be a wristwatch that was as precise as a pocket watch. Back in 1939, the only way to do that was to put a pocket watch movement in a wristwatch. So it was designed as a wristwatch from the onset. It wasn't an adapted officer-style wristwatch. No, it was the original oversized watch with a pocket watch movement for chronometric purposes inside a large wristwatch case. My wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see I've got a little clearance on each side. I'd recommend this watch for a wrist no smaller than 15 centimeters circumference. Again, this is 16. You can see the over the top. The cuff shot, however, revealing this is indeed a dress watch. Very low profile with a domed bezel and a domed sapphire, which is box section to evoke a vintage plexiglass. This will easily slide underneath the cuff. We'll take a look at the strap right here, and as you can see on the top, large rectangular scale alligator leather, semi-gloss finish, black monotone stitch. There is a sheer cut side showing the layers of leather, a little bit of bolstering to give it some volume. On the bottom, you will note black calfskin and a simple, no-nonsense, alternately polished and satinated IWC pin buckle for easy adjustments. It's also historically correct. As you can see, this was very much like the 1932 Patek Philippe Reference 96, the first Calatrava. They were born of the same era, and they really do look like each other, both in profile and in dial detail. Both were all about form following function. So we had blended lugs that were incorporated into the caseband. Here you can see that the caseband is narrow, the caseback is somewhat concave, the bezel and the caseback are polished, the caseband is satinated, and the lug hoods are polished. The lugs are tapered, both from head-on and in profile. You will appreciate a simple, no-nonsense IWC Probus Scafusia, that is the motto of IWC, on the crown. And so the caseband, if you can ignore the size difference between the roughly 32 millimeter reference 96 and this 44 millimeter Portugueser, the case design is almost identical. The dial design is similar too, as both featured conventional Arabic numerals, leaf hands, and small seconds, and that's what we have right here. We have an opaline silver white dial, a slightly sunken sub-seconds dial. We have a railroad track outboard for reading the minutes and a mini railroad track for reading the seconds. There's a small flash of color at 60 seconds on the sub-register, and we have golden indices as well as golden Arabic numerals. And if you look at some of the numerals in detail, for example, the 3, the 4, the 2, the 8, the 9, you can see this is a unique typeface that is used specifically on this watch, the sort of bowed profile of the vertical portion of the 7. In detail, it pleases. Having rose gold on the dial makes for an agreeable type of two-tone. This is the kind of two-tone that I find guys are most willing to embrace because it's beautiful, it's subtle, and it even enhances comprehension as it's simply easier to read the rose against the silver white base. Now, turning it all over, you can see a movement descended from the old caliber 98, starting with the 98. This is the 98295, a 37 millimeter, really, if you're going to be precise, 37.8 millimeter diameter pocket watch caliber, designed the old-fashioned way. Manual wind, 46-hour power reserve, adjusted in 5 positions like a chronometer, pivoting on 18 jewels with a overcoil hairspring, allowing it to beat with even timekeeping in any position with respect to gravity. It also features the world's largest hacking lever, which you can see underneath my thumb. You can see it coming into contact with the balance beating away at 2.5 hertz on that handmade overcoil. It looks like a pocket watch movement too. All of this water resistant down to 30 meters. We have an enormous 3/4 style bridge. We have an enormous Jones Arrow Index, a reference to the oversized micrometric regulator designed by IWC's American founder, watchmaker F.A. Jones. We have a very traditional train, as you can see, the crown wheel, the ratchet wheel, the center wheel, third wheel, fourth wheel, escape wheel, anchor, and then the balance with the roller table underneath the anchor bridge. You also have the little golden platings. These are golden platings inside the jewel fixtures to recall the chaton that would have been used on pocket watches in the 19th century. And we have that center wheel architecture and a three-quarter bridge to recall IWC watchmaking in the late 19th century. You can see that the bridges have a little bit of a darker rhodium plating than conventional. Most rhodium is bright silver. This has a little bit of a dark gray to it. You can see that beveling has been applied, and it's of a particularly high grade for IWCs, not something you often see on IWC watches. All screw heads are black polished. They're satination, concentric, circular brushed on the wheels, and then we have this radial sunburst type of damascening or graining on the ratchet wheel as well as the crown wheel. We also have an extended swan's neck style click spring, an extensible click, and you can see this is very much like a pocket watch with that extending click and the oversized click spring. There's engine turning on the base plate. It is a very attractive watch, beautiful, historically evocative, and the heart and soul of IWC. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.